which I know is a pretty hot topic. A lot of people are interested in moving off grid or transitioning to off grid. So we thought to discuss in this line of how to start homesteading. So I'm just going to let Patrick introduce himself and kind of how he got into off grid living and homesteading and things like that. And we just want to welcome you to our live tonight, Patrick.
Thank you very much, very much. Well, I'm Patrick, and I live in the Eastern Townships in Quebec. And how did I get into the off-grid living? I guess we wanted to buy a land. That would be the first thing why we got this place. It wasn't planned like we're not like doomsday preppers or anything like that. But we think about self-reliance, about electricity and stuff. It's pretty cool and pretty nifty when you're like a little bit good at it without being a whiz or anything. So it's not a fluke. But when we saw it, we were like, oh, can we do this? So I went on YouTube, learned a lot of stuff in 3 months. Wow. And I basically we dove right into it, basically.
Wow, head first. Have you had any prior experience with off-grid living or no?
Bushcrafting and stuff like that, but that has nothing to do with off-grid living per se. Some people rough it pretty good, Yeah. Other people like we live normally, if we can say that,
Nice.
And there's different style of living.
Oh. Sorry, Jay's popped on there. Sorry about that.
Just trying to.
Yeah.
You got it figured out there?
I hope so.
You hope so. All right. So how long have you been living in your current place where you're off grid?
Current place is about 3 years. And prior to this, I was living not too far away, but I was not living off grid. It's this place is basically off grid from one side to the other, about 1 kilometer each way. Okay. So, and the house itself is a traditional Canadian style home. If you Google it, you will see what I mean by that. And basically, the man who built it in '98 put it off grid right there, solar and with propane lighting and stuff like that.
Wow.
So that was like, oh, that's cool. But at the same time, when we purchased it, it was outdated. So we needed to do lots of thinking about how we're going to get and tackle this.
Wow.
And so I guess we are self-sufficient, but that's a big word, mm-hmm. Because you always rely on propane or gasoline, gas, mm-hmm. to use your generator and stuff like that. So for us, it's about 3 months of the year, 2 months that we need to do that. But during those months, it's sometimes it's never. But as soon as the sun comes up, we're good. But sometimes like 2 weeks without any sun whatsoever. It's a drag on the soul, but it's also a drag on the solar home as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It must have been quite intimidating. Was it to purchase your home and kind of get a start on like being off grid or solar?
Well, a good thing about not knowing where you're going is you have no clue, right? So yeah, when we got the keys and we opened the door, everything was beeping, like big like strident, like noise. So nothing was working. So it's like, what kind of shock did we get here, and then we figure out, half an hour later that basically the batteries were dead.
Wow.
Oh wow.
And so that was our first let's say 3 hours into the house.
That's an eye opener.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, and it was in November.
No. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That was funny.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, so you said it was outdated when you first bought it, basically, and that you're talking about the actual equipment at that point.
Correct. Yes, batteries, inverter, to use the gibberish of a solar thing, you know.
So like,
Um,
how old would that be then? Like how many years? Like was it like a 10-year-old setup before or?
let's say we bought in 2020, and prior to that, it was 2009, we
Okay.
believe. It wasn't sure. We didn't have the manual. The man who built the house and got it that way wasn't in the picture. We bought it from someone else that basically purchases to flip it, sort of
Flip
thing.
it, yeah.
Ah.
And so the house was clean, was all prepped up and stuff, and solid. So that's why we decided to go for it. But 2009 was the date, and we figured that out because Kay found a video. Kay is my lady Kay right here. She found a video on YouTube of the man himself explaining his solar system.
That's so funny.
Nice.
So that happened to us with our farm too. We went on YouTube. We found out that the old lad, the last day he had the cattle on this farm was by YouTube video.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's how we figured out that was a generator shed in the back that
Yeah.
electricity was sort of plugged in and stuff.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
wow.
really cool.
Sort of wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
But it was good. After that, we basically found that like the man was, I would say, he was a prepper, like diehard prepper. Because we found that was a bunker / root cellar. We want to use the term root cellar because it's it's more joyful than a bunker. But we found a toilet in there. A bunch of stuff. So, but no gold.
Wow.
Yeah,
You never know. Have you gotten out your what's that called, the metal detector yet?
No. But there's this funny story when the man got the house to the other person. They found actually silver bars of silver bars.
Wow.
And thousands of seeds apparently. Mattress, bicycles.
Yeah.
But we didn't see any of that, so that's kind of sad. But when we emptied the root cellar there, we were like, hey, maybe we can find something. And then I found there's a thing with a key there. It was like a toilet paper dispenser. So yeah, no.
No go away.
When you were looking to buy, were you specifically looking for off-grid?
Not at all. We were looking for land. Like
Land,
something like 20 acres, something or more. At that time, it was sort of affordable, and but the location and was perfect for us and stuff. So we basically decided to try this.
How far are you from like the nearest hydro? Like, what made your decision to put your money into new equipment compared to putting in some poles?
We are about 1 kilometer each way, so it would have cost us about 30 grand, maybe more, plus tax. You never know. And for us to do the overall update, it was a rough 15 grand. So it was a mild expense compared to the hydro. We could have, but we didn't want to, sort of thing. But eventually, like, everything will be plugged eventually somehow. But it's because of the person that was living here before that it never got hooked up, right? I don't have any neighbors whatsoever. I got one guy that lived in it's his chalet kind of guy from Montreal and stuff. So he recently got the electricity by like wires to the neighbor through and stuff. So he sort of hooked up, but we basically don't feel we have the need for it.
Yeah.
It's not cheaper. It's not more expensive. It feels the same, after all, but it's different. Like, we eat our home with 100% wood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, from, a little 15 degrees in October, you get, like you guys or anybody, put on to be comfy. Well, we have to do that with wood, And so we use about 20 cords, 15 to 20 cords, face cord a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we burn wood too for you guys
Yeah.
too, and that's
All of us do, I think.
yeah.
I think it's really important. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
know you guys-
double. I have something double. I do have a propane heater that, like a furnace. That's when we're not there and stuff. Like it can
Back
go
up,
off if anything. But we used it like like 2 weeks ago, just to see if it was working.
Mhm.
Like it's a big gouger, propane gouger.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We
But
feel like
redundancy.
another house.
Yeah.
Well, we started out. So we bought our property in 2017, and we just got our wood stove put in about 2 winters ago. So we were running on oil and putting about 2,000 to 2,400 a year into that, and we just bought a half a tandem of wood this year, and significant different in price. So the savings from wood for us was significant in trying to heat our house, but also just because we go without hydro so much that we didn't want to be stuck in the cold in previous years we've had. So.
Hydro is pretty cool. It's solid, it's clean, and everything that they say it is. A lot of people have solar panel connected to hydro. I believe it's called Hydro One. It's like a program you can give the energy and receive.
Certain rate.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. And sometimes you get even stuff like that. Here it's not that. We have batteries to contain our power. So that's the difference between that, because when you do that, you do not have batteries. It's basically always online and giving and taking.
Yeah, you're feeding to the grid. I think we have family that has that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's pretty neat in itself. But when everything goes down, it goes down, right? So, you have to be careful where you live in order to be off grid too, because you wouldn't be able to live in a suburb, with all the generator. Sometimes in the winter, stuff like that. But when it's basically the eating and the light. Like lighting is nothing, right? But it's a eating that takes all the energy, and water pump, stuff like that.
We found that for us, like we lose power a lot, and so we run the generator or whatever. But we have some experience in, our barn lighting is solar. Our electric fencers for all our animals are run off solar as well, like DC. We just use a car battery with a DC and a charge controller.
We build it instead of buying.
That's good.
And it works. It works out well, but. There was a point where we had our electric fencers all plugged into the house and we lost power. And now we lost power for like a week and a half. So if we wouldn't have had that solar, we would have had animals all over the place, right?
Well, especially when we have chickens, right?
Yeah.
That's the only defense they have.
Is our electric netting, right?
So
pretty much. Yeah. I've seen a lot of solar stuff these days. What do you have to think about home versus all these stuff? It's not the same at all. Like a home requires good power, constant power, compared to those things. And those things work perfect. They're made for whatever, like whatever they work with. So that's, but you wouldn't be able to run a water pump with anything like that,
That's what my question would be like for me, Kendra has a good list of questions for you, but I know for us, we'd love to do it to run our complete barn systems off solar. So we found 12-volt pumps to pump from a well we have down there. That's an old dug well, and it works all winter long. It's full. So we're like, okay, well, we can manage that. But then we look at some of the trough water heaters. They're like 150 watts, but when it's minus 40, it's drawing 150 watts all the time. Probably 5 to 10 amps minimum draw. Like. I'm just thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get enough battery power to really solve that.
Yeah. That's it. There's always an equation. To what you can harvest and you can use or store. Here we have 2 big batteries of 24 volts and 200 amps.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's a good bank then. Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you know how to do I was going to maybe show, Patrick had sent me some pictures earlier and I was just going to show people the setup, but I'm not super computer savvy. So my husband's going to hop in here.
Yeah.
You guys keep chatting away, and I'll play
So
around with
Patrick,
this.
you said that it would have been about 30 grand for you to put hydro in. What approximately did you spend putting in solar? Like, is it comparable, or was it comparable?
It was a half easy, less than that, So
Half or less?
Yeah,
Wow.
less than
Wow.
15,000. And our main idea was to update the solar panel. We did that. It cost about not even $2,000.
Wow.
So
That's
for
amazing.
11 panels, you can spend money with panels, no problem. It's a matter of where you want them and what you can do with them.
Wow.
Even the composite, at first we were going to keep the old ones because they were sort of newer. So but it wasn't Bluetooth or anything. I couldn't see much of the power we had every day and stuff like that. So we went on and actually tried to change stuff, and then we burnt one because we did everything ourselves. So we burnt one of the charge controller, one of the component there. So we were like, then we figured out that it was too expensive now because the price went up. It was after COVID, and
Okay.
everything was so expensive. So we went on and basically decided to do everything you saw earlier. This system here.
Okay.
And basically, you see the wires that come from the top. You got fuses, you got shut off switch, you got charge controller. The three things you see in blue.
Yeah.
That's where the power is not inverted, but charged basically to be able to charge the battery. So
Yeah.
it controls from there, and then it goes to the rectangle or square inverter, and then it goes to the panel.
Yeah.
The electrical panel, which is a 110
We can
volts.
go to maybe that picture. You sent us a picture, I think, of the electrical. Or
That was the first battery system we had.
this one
Yeah.
here? Wow.
Yeah, we found it like that on the floor. That's first rule you don't do. Don't put batteries on the floor like
Wow.
that. Fun stuff. Yeah, good memories. Those were boiling. Like that was the first system. Yes, exactly the first day we had. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
so
look,
go to
look
that
how much
one.
cleaner it is now, eh?
Which one?
Go to the last one there with the
last
panel.
one,
Yeah.
Yeah, my ADD kicked in
Okay.
at some point. I need to to tighten up those wires and stuff. But yeah, the first part we did is rearrange everything so it was clean and we knew what it was doing. Basically, we didn't know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and so we lifted the batteries on something we built and tried to dismantle and dismantle.
You currently have that many batteries still? Like,
No.
No, I have two.
you have two
So
that
if
you
you-
Yes, that was 16 6 volt.
These
Oh,
two,
okay.
Yeah, those are two batteries, like rectangle, about 80 pounds, 100 pounds.
Yeah.
So how did you know like where to go to get these updated supplies?
Yeah.
I would say everything on YouTube. And then you can buy on Amazon. And over here, there's a bunch of people that do solar for, like camps and, crown land stuff, places you can basically can't get anything. And what I learned at first is basically like you need to know what you consume, right? So we figure out, that's that's with the new panel and everything.
How many panels do you have? Sorry.
11.
Wow. And what
See,
is what does a panel go for? Like, what would the cost of getting a panel be?
It's about $1 for a watt. So if it's
Okay.
a 300 watt, would be $300.
Okay.
Just about.
I think it's really neat that you went on each side of the house instead of just the roof
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, that's
You're not convinced on it?
no. Well, the roof was there, right? And so we kept the racking, so we saved about $5,000 right there. With the racking that was there and stuff. So, but they're the most. They're the solar panel that harvest the most sun all the time.
Yeah.
So if I could, and I cannot on this house, I would have first of all, not build a house that way, but I wouldn't make it every like 12 panels, 20 panels on the top like that if I could have.
Do it
Even with
over.
the snow and everything?
Yeah, like it's a bit of a bummer because it's high, but I can reach pretty good with a long shovel, right?
Mm.
And the solar panel and ICTM in the chat there will attest is like they clean themselves pretty good. You know, soon as the sun hits there, everything melts. So you need to clean them so that the ice doesn't get too thick, and stuff like that. But it's fair,
Wow. So we have a question here for Patrick. Do
Hello,
you have
Dana.
the same amount of storage now with the 2 batteries as you did with the original?
I got about twice as much, if not 3 times.
Oh,
wow.
And it's lithium versus acid batteries, deep cycle batteries.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the reason why I went 3 times for everything is in the winter, I wanted to have like the maximum that I could get, right? I could have double of what I have right now, and I probably wouldn't be okay because when there's no sun whatsoever, right? And so if I had like twice as much batteries, I would need like twice as much solar panel to get everything going. But when there's no sun, there's nothing. So we know now that everything is fine when we have sun, or just like cloudy day, like today it was snowing, but it was so long. Like March and mid-February, it's the days are getting longer, and since we are in like mid-March now, like when it's clear outside, we can harvest enough to break even, sort of thing. So
All right,
it's
you
not
have
too bad at all.
another question here from Bella. What would you suggest on the cheapest budget on what you would buy, where to start? Like maybe the smallest setup one person could try to start off grid.
I would try with a dog house first.
A what?
a dog house.
Oh no! You are talking to the person who has dogs, so
Kidding aside, I would start with something small. Try something. Something, anything, so you can see what it is to wait on something. And
I was talking
store
to you
something.
earlier today before the live, and I was saying that my husband and I we want to set up our water and our fridge and freezers, and that's kind of like if we could get kind of the hang of doing that, maybe we could go further. But we're looking at trying to, come up with some funds and set something up, because when we do lose power, like we don't have any water, and that's something we really want to have. So we're just kind of like hoping to at least get to that point where we can be comfortable, and then see about going a little further. But yeah, I think
if you have a barn, if you have anything that could be self-sufficient, you can buy stuff for cheap, but don't buy it like in its entire. Go to a battery expert and stuff like that if you have those in Ontario. Like go something great that you can go on for a while. Example, if if I was to rebuild a house, I would basically make everything pretty much the same, but all the eating stuff would be like floor eating, so like it's so cheap to run, right? Right now it's we have docks, so basically it's forced air everywhere, but it's all on 110, like we don't have any 220. So that's the thing, is everything that runs in this house is 110. So there's no like double circuits or anything like that, which can be done and can be very not redundant, but the redundancy is there. You lose power, you can run your fridge, you can do this. Some people do that with generator. They would put it on refrigerator and something like that. You can do that with solar power as well. But the thing is, when you lose power, it's usually during the winter, so it's not that convenient.
That's true.
So if you think about redundancy of your home, you have to think about a generator. You have to think about charging your batteries and stuff like that. But you can go on with days if you have the right amount of batteries just to power your fridge. Like right now, we have a fridge. We have our wood furnace. What else we have? All the lighting. We have the lights, so it's not like it's 9 watts each, so it's not too bad.
So like when you're when you're living in the winter, like the past few months, do you rely on your generator or?
Yes, definitely. Like it's a reality that you have to cross check, because when there's no, like when there's sun here, it's good. Like I was saying earlier, but in December, like there's weeks without suns, and I think Kate told me like there's not even 3 days in a row for the past since November. So,
Okay.
but when it's there, we're good for 2 days, 3 days, depending on the consumption. But when there's no sun for 2 weeks, there's nothing to do.
So you were just talking about like, running your lights and stuff. One of my questions was, do you have to have like fridges, like appliances made for solar, or can you use any appliances being on solar?
I'm I'm an advocate of having everything on 110 volt, like your regular home.
Okay.
You can do that, but to me, if I have the choice, I would do that. Because it's one setup. You don't mingle with two systems or anything like that, and that's part of the refrigerator and deep freezer, 12 volts and stuff like that. That would be like independent. You could do that too. Like you could have your solar panel that runs those on 12 volts, and that could work. Like if that's the purpose of what you want to do and try, that's definitely worth it.
So I'm assuming your stove is propane then?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Everything that has to do with 220 volts, we don't have. It's something else, like the
So
water
no
heater.
dryer,
Pardon me?
right? No dryer.
No dryer. We have the solar dryer outside during the summer, and we have the downstairs. Basically, we have it set up downstairs to dry our clothes and
Okay.
stuff like that. That's a lot of time it creates controversy. Like people are like, "What? Are you poor or something?" No, I just live that way. Like it's a choice that people sometimes they don't realize. It's just not how it works. But it's just be creative a lot of time, but it's different. We dry everything in half a day, so instead of what is it, an hour maybe.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we still hang some of our stuff by the wood stove to dry, and we have a dryer. Like it's
I love summers for that, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the big gougers are eating the water pump. What else takes a lot of juice? Well, yeah, everything propane to me is a lot of juice. Because you're dependent on propane. So that's one thing we did when we, after a year of struggling, and it cost us a lot of money to the first year to heat the home. Like we spent 20 cords of wood and about 6,000 in propane. Well, sorry, like 6,000 together with the wood and the propane to heat the house, and we were cold, like crazy cold. So we failed on that, but that gave us a lot of time to think about what we were going to do in the summer. And so we did that. So after that, it was all cool. Like the furnace is a wood furnace, with ducts. I was saying earlier, forced hair. So it's very very easy to eat home like that.
Okay. So I see Bella has another question for you because she has such a large family.
Who might eat 20? Don't know anything about solar. Family of 7. Well, it's always a matter of how you take and how much you're willing to harvest, right? So but the system is always the same.
Okay.
So if you have 7 bedrooms, you'll need something like bigger to heat your home, or smarter. Like those wood. Those wood, not wood floor, but heated floors. That's the best thing ever that I saw. There's a big furnace you can put outside in order to burn wood for 24 hours. But like me and you, Aker said, coffee maker takes a lot of juice. So, but it lasts only 5 minutes. Like I have my toast when I want to, because it's 1,000 watts, but for a minute.
Yeah.
Same with the water pump. For us, it's about 1,000 watt for a minute or 2 minutes. Depending.
That's true.
And we have an in-floor heating at our other home, but it runs on propane. But our other place is in-floor heating, and if you go that route, it is efficient, and it's really nice. The floor gets warm. It's nice on the feet, and
It feels different though.
it does. Yeah.
So you are used to, like, you have to wear a sweater.
True that.
Because even though, like, I know a lot of people that come in with forced air, they're so used to it, and they're always like, oh, it's so cold. Like, turn up the heat, and it's, it takes a day or so for the heat to actually come up anyways.
Yeah, it's constant. Like, you're exactly right there.
Yeah, it's just a different form.
It is, yeah. But we like the in-floor. I mean, I think for us, like, we prefer the box stove is great. I know we run a 110 volt electric induction. What do they call that thing there that we use?
Oh, a hot plate.
It's like a hot plate. We use it for our camper, and we lived out of our camper where we did a 6-month trip with it at one point, like a little slide-in camper, and we used that because it took next to nothing for wattage, and that's a big thing that we noticed looking at our hydro bills, because they've gone way up here in Ontario, and our stove is a huge draw. The stove is sucking the hydro, so we're looking at replacing it with a larger version of our plate because it's way more efficient.
Wow.
Yeah. Here, I guess if we would have like a electric stove, we would need, first of all, to be on 48 volts.
Yeah.
To create 220 power split phase.
Yeah.
If you follow me there. And we don't have that. We're on the 24 volts, and with the power we have, it's enough for everything. And to be honest, I love my propane stove, but it's a dependency.
It's
it's great cooking, and but it's a dependency. Like, if we could make our own natural gas, which I sort of look into it, but it needs to be warm all the time. So during the winter, it's a no-go and stuff. But anyway, that's another story. But it is very useful. And other than that, it would have cost me a lot more, probably double, to get everything on the 48 volts. Because you need bigger everything. You need double solar panel. You need double batteries, everything.
Yeah, for us, I mean, we have the plan of eventually to dwindle out of doing that, to get ourselves to the point where we can run all solar. So we appreciate seeing the setups and talking to people, because there's quite a few people out our way that are off grid. I mean, Mike and Angie did it off grid for their place, and they learned a lot. There's a few other people.
There's a lot of people off grid in this area.
Yeah, Mike and Angie are spoiled by hydro now, so they're going to go back.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But I do understand that, and I like what I do right now with the off grid and stuff. But it's because we're sort of comfy. We're not struggling or anything.
Yeah.
And that's to me, it was important to be normal. We have 2 kids. And they want to be normal. They want to play Xbox, and stuff like that. It's limited. It's a reason to limit the gaming and stuff, So that's but that's not a good reason. It's but it's
so
easier that way.
Often would you say you would have to replace, like, the batteries that you have?
Can you repeat that?
Just wondering how often you would have to replace the batteries that you currently have.
They guarantee it for 15 years. So the one we have, it's about that, and so I would say it's a matter of cycle, and how much you deplete your battery every day or every couple days or stuff like that. So that's also a reason why I went triple. So during the summer, they're like always charged, like pretty good. Like summer, we never fail, like never unless there's a bad update and they scrap all my system. Like I did that with my my Bluetooth stuff.
Oh no.
And it basically went off at 12 o'clock and first week or 2 that we had the new system, the blue system you saw there.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that it's Bluetooth and everything.
Yeah. We have a friend, I was talking to him today, just did preparation for tonight's topic. I was talking with him to learn a little bit more about his setup, and he has a trailer that's all set up, like it's a nice big 5th wheel trailer kind of thing. But anyway, he's run it all solar and off grid setup, and his sheds are run off of it. and he recommended buying all the same brand, like all the same company, use the same setup. He said everything just plays nicer together for the mobile apps and all that. Is that something that you would agree with, or?
Definitely, the easiness of everything nowadays. If you look a little bit more into it, you can mingle and mix match stuff. It doesn't really matter. The matter is the configuration you have.
Okay.
But definitely, like myself, the blue you saw there, it's a Victron system.
Victron, yeah.
Yeah. So we went with that because yes, it was all communicating with each other. And it's basically everything on my iPhone. And it's pretty solid as per control as well. And that was one of the reasons from the old one that when we burned one, we were like, oh, let's buy it again. But then we needed more to be connected. And, so it wasn't like, and the controller, the charge controller itself was like triple price. So like, no, so I was talking to a friend of mine who was living in a van for the past year and a half, full off grid in a sense, and she had that. So I looked into it and I found what I needed. And because we knew the consummation we had and everything that was with all that, we knew exactly what to get. So the system was fairly well. Yeah, the system itself was fairly cheap. It's the battery that killed us. We're still alive, but like the whole system was like about $5,000. The blue system, like everything you saw there with the wires. Wires cost a lot of money. Like bolts cost a lot of money and stuff like that. You need those for the racking and stuff, but batteries is definitely the big thing. And T-Hand in the chat there, Dave Knight, they switched to the same batteries that we have, and they're very pleased as well. But it's because they're brand new and they are lithium batteries, and we came from like deep cycle lead batteries. So lithium batteries to coffee maker. Yeah, so people got it. Got to get the coffee. We use a propane stove kettle. So it's a little bit old school, but I like
okay. We use I use because I have it's that plate only works with magnetic stuff, and that's what we're using instead of the stove. So my coffee maker there, if I don't want to use the kettle or whatnot, I use the old camp stove percolator. Just set it on top of the wood stove. It makes better coffee, to be honest. So
French press and everything,
Yeah.
So what were some of your biggest challenges from moving from hydro to solar?
Get acquainted with everything. There's no electrician that's going to come for you. So you need to know where you're going and what to do if anything. So
like, did you have to set everything up, or did you hire someone to come, or how did that work?
I had my father-in-law, which he was a mechanic back in his younger days, well, forever sort of thing. So he had the manly fashion with his fingers, so he was really good with everything that has to do with batteries, setting up, actually making it happen, and then we exchanged knowledge because I had sort of the knowledge, but no experience whatsoever with batteries or electricity, for that matter, So he knew all that. So I was sort of the follower, but I knew where I was going. I knew the system. I knew the engineering sort of thing, but it's like a bad engineer, that never been on the ground with my boots and stuff. But now, now I'm good with that. He basically was my wingman, or I was his wingman, I should say.
Okay.
So that
helped
a lot.
What would someone like us who might not know how to set it up, where would we go for just talk to other people off grid, or is there service people around? I don't know.
There was
you have to be careful with those service people because they're going to try to sell you a lot of stuff all the time. They're probably right in many fashion, but you will pay double, as everything construction, you pay for the, like I was saying, my blue setup, it's about $5,000, but it probably would be way more if the they get it for you. You know,
Mhm.
the install, that would be crazy. So you have to be ready to be hands-on. That's for sure. Because if anything, when it breaks, you need to fix it, or you need to call someone. Then it costs a lot of money.
Mhm. So we have
And it's hard.
another question here. Sorry, about
Ah,
battery replacement every 15 years. The cost,
yeah,
I guess.
already mentioned it. I believe they were about $5,000 for two.
Okay.
That's a lot
And
better than I thought it was going to be, to be
Yeah,
honest.
that doesn't sound so bad.
Because
really.
even the Walmart deep
Was that-
cycles
was that-
are like $120 now.
I
maybe
talked-
6. Apparently, it was with tax and everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
6,000.
Yeah.
when I talked to Charles today too, he's got the lithium batteries, and he said it's not so much about years anymore with lithium. He said it's about cycles. So
Correct.
he said if you keep your battery trickle charged, you don't let it drop all the way to the bottom, well, then you're not going through a whole cycle, and you can get, a long, long time out of your batteries. So
That's correct. Yeah, it's about the cycle and when you empty them. So if they go down to 0 or to 80%, about I think it's on lithium.
Yeah.
That's it. But that's exactly it. That's really good info there.
Battery conditioning, basically.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which is what we do with, I do it with my iPhone and that.
yeah, he said he's very cautious to make sure he monitors his batteries, and I'm sure you do
Okay.
the same to make sure that they don't drop below that and cause a cycle, because that's taking time away from the length of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, here it's a 26 volt nominal. So
Yeah.
it goes down to 24, and that's when it's about 20, 30%.
Yeah.
So we went down to 22 at one point. It's like we needed to test, but it was done purpose. But we
Yeah.
needed to test it, and we did. So but it's like a drill. You will work the drill, and then it go.
Yeah.
Compared to lead acid, it would go like
Yeah.
slowly, and then your light will go slowly down. And then your pump will struggle and everything. But lithium is not like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
Wow.
neat thing that Dana's saying. So he's basically saying that there's a way to get used batteries sometimes too. He met another guy that got them. From a golf
Absolutely, everything that has to do with deep cycle
Recycling, yeah.
batteries. Yeah, deep cycle 6 volt. Like the batteries you saw in my older system
Mhm.
were all 6 volts. In series and parallel to make 24 volts at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had 16 of those.
Yeah. Well, that's
Wow.
neat.
Now-
Sorry, Kendra, go ahead. You've got some good stuff.
No, I'm
on
just
there.
wondering, does it affect you from going away from the homestead at all? Like, just because you have to keep track of the cycle and the charging of your batteries, and that, can you still go away for a vacation or something, or how does that affect your life in that way?
From March to October, we can. But the reality we have right now is our generator is not hooked up automatic. It's not automatically starting when the batteries are low.
Okay.
And there was a bigger investment that we would sort of care for, because it's sort of a bummer to go and start the generator. But at the same time, we didn't want to have a big coming generator with diesel,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, or hooked up to the propane, because we have 4 big tanks of propane and it lasts us a year. So we didn't want to gouge on that and be
Yeah.
dependent on that, but we're dependent on gasoline. So, it's but it was cheaper, gasoline was cheaper. Now we spend more money, but less generator time than before, but we pay more because gas is more. So we got a new generator that basically goes 18 hours on a tank, which would be double, if not almost, more than that. Yeah, double, let's say, of power for the same amount. So
What are
hopefully
you
that's
running
gonna
for
help.
a generator?
Right now, it's a fireman.
Okay, yeah.
That's basic. We bought it for $300, I think, Walmart.
Nice.
It's what is it, 4,000 something, but it gives us 3650
Yeah.
solid watts.
Yeah.
And the one we purchased and we haven't got yet, it's about the same, but it's a Westinghouse quiet inverter generator. So we're looking forward to that, so we can save at least half of. But it's gonna, I don't know. They played with us, and we still waiting on it. But anyway, it's gonna be nice when it's gonna get here. But it's just a generator, normal generator. What is sort of, and why we change for a new one is because it doesn't give a pure power to the inverter.
Okay.
So it's nothing per se, but it might mess your things up.
Yeah.
If
We had
anything.
that issue
I was
with,
just say we experienced it.
we had that issue. We had a champion generator that would run we had a GenLink. So GenLink is like it goes on your meter base or whatever. For those people that don't know, it's an option that they try and sell you as a cheap option for running a generator if you lose power. I'm going to recommend don't get it, because that was our experience. It didn't give clear power, and it screwed up the GenLink multiple times. So we ended up buying a Yamaha, but the GenLink just was too unreliable, because you need that clear power all the time, like he's saying, and that's why I was asking what you were running.
And you can't test the GenLink
No,
ourselves,
we couldn't
so
test it,
we didn't know.
Yeah.
Now we run a separate generator panel, but we also use a good quality generator that puts out consistent power.
Yeah, that's the main thing, and they're sort of affordable nowadays, depending on what you need. So if you start with a smaller setup for something very specific that you don't need a big, house thing to, you can make it work. You can buy like fairly cheap ones that are very good. But same with the inverter from, the blue setup I had. The inverter give pure power.
Yeah.
It's called Synwave.
Okay. Yeah.
For the techies, and basically that gives you good ripples. Like in the power you have ripples, and that basically gives you good ones. And for electronics, computer, we both work from home with computers and stuff, so we needed that. So, but we didn't have that before. But it was like a big white box, sort of weird setup that nobody understood what it was. That was basically smoothing the power out. So we got rid of that.
Yeah.
Do you find you go through a lot of generators or not really?
Not this one. We had one before. It was a way too powerful generator. We thought we needed. But what the reality is the inverter we have can only process about 3,000 watts. Or 4,000 watts when it goes into the I'm forgetting the term here, but in surge basically. So you don't need more than that. And we had a 1,200 watt generator, and and anyway, we thought we needed it, and we didn't. And so we bought that Firman, basically basic, because the other one blew up. For some reason, wasn't a good one, and that Firman's been solid. Like it's the endo broke, I fixed it, and that was that. But it doesn't give you the right power. But my inverter sort of fixed everything up.
Yeah.
But when it really, like go to like the threshold of it, the light sometimes goes like it dims. Like they don't do, but the flicker.
Yeah.
So, and that's the last sort of piece of the puzzle, because with that we have a remote on the new generator.
Yeah.
And therefore we'll be able to get everything hooked up to that little one. As long as there's gas in it, everything will be we'll be able to go to Las Vegas in winter or anything like that. But right now it's during the summer we can go out and not worry about anything. For sure. But during the winter, we need to power the generator.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, we definitely want to be looking at that for the wintertime for us. Like we have a spot in the barn that when I wire the panel in and get the solar set up, I'm going to have the generator as a backup. I mean, we're kind of fortunate that we might dabble with wind as a...
Yeah, I was going to say, that's my biggest thing is how do you connect? Like, I haven't figured this out yet. To connect solar and wind, I don't know if it has to go into two different controllers or if you can do it into one controller.
No, you need to because it might be different. Most controllers will accept whatever wattage the windmill has.
Yeah.
But you'll see that the power rate you generate out of it is very low.
Yeah.
Unless it's something very, like, I would think about making one with gears and stuff like that. That makes it better.
Yeah. Well, you gotta
That's what I'm
Yeah.
planning on doing, is building my own
Jimmy rig something.
Yeah.
to work.
Don't buy those you see on wherever you see them. They're too
Yeah.
expensive. They don't create good power, and you need a lot of wind. So if you can
That's
get
quite a
something that,
bit.
yeah,
We're
Oh,
we're on
really?
the side of a big mountain, and our barn is like, I don't know, it is
It's tall.
probably
Yeah.
65, 70 feet in the air, and we're constantly under wind here because it comes off of a lake.
That's good.
Like our farm's at the top of the hill, and the lake's at the bottom, so the wind just comes up.
Yeah.
And
It's three different directions.
we don't need a lot of power to run our barn, but we were looking at completely converting the lighting systems as the first step this winter, and
Just
then
lights.
looking at going at maybe adding in the electrical to run the hot water heaters later on down the road as we build onto the kit. But I know the LEDs now, they don't take a lot of wattage in that. So, and seeing a lot of your videos and other people's videos, I think that might be a good step for us to try it, to go into that route. You guys are looking at doing that too, eh? Just dabbling with it and adding things, and
like not jumping full in, but just trying bits to start us out anyway.
yeah,
Find your redundancy, whatever you need to power, or whatever is the big gouger you want to get rid of.
Yeah, that's it.
I was just going to say we have 2 solar panels in the garage just sitting there at the moment.
Yeah, my husband was
I think
saying
they're
we've
both
got
200 watt. I think they are
200 watt solar panels in our garage, but do they need to be rewired or what?
Might have to do some soldering with the one thing there, but
Yeah. So I mean, we definitely have been planning it for a while, but it hasn't really went anywhere yet. But
Well, it takes time to learn, but when, like, for us, when we're obligated to get it working, you get good fast. But by all means, I'm not any pro. Like me and my father-in-law makes a good team, definitely. But I would be sort of like very slow fixing stuff. Like he was fast and stuff like that. But you definitely need to know your system, especially if you go bit by bit. Here it's fairly easy because it's regular electric everywhere. So if I don't know if I need to move a light, I need to just do regular stuff, right? So if you go, like RVs are a good example of mixed technologies with 12 volts and electric. You could easily do all the electric with solar and stuff like that. So if you think about dabbling stuff, think about how the RV works. And there's nothing wrong with that either, because like a T-hand does that. He has a mixed 12 volts for lightning, I believe, and his coffee maker on a 110.
Yeah, that's it.
But it works well, and he we talk a bit, and he does the same thing as means during winter. As soon as sun it's up, he's on 12 volt system. I'm on 24, and there's a 48 with all the 220 watt and stuff. So everything works. It's a matter of how you want to maintain. Here it was like that, so we didn't think about it. Like everything was on 110. We just got everything going on my 24 volts because that's also what we had. But we could have changed everything. Well, by the end we changed everything, so we could have went higher with 48 and stuff like that. But it was too expensive, or useless for us, basically.
Yeah.
I have a question about your controller. You had said it. You have like an app and everything that you can use with it. So does it require Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's actually Bluetooth for that, and you could have Wi-Fi if you're outside of your home.
Okay.
Right. It's like my Google Nest for my heater. I can be anywhere and set the heating whatever temperature I want to.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of the coolness about all this. But definitely,
I'm wondering if a lot of them are
Wi-Fi.
going that way.
You like the system I had before. It wasn't Victron. It was called Morningstar, And if you only have one charge controller, you can buy that. It's fairly expensive. It can can cost you about $1,500. And there's like a little display on it, and that's like a tank basically. There's no technology much. It's like a analog display, and you see how much you got for a voltage on your batteries and how much you're harvesting a bit, and that's it. And that you could have like 3-4 solar panel on that, 300 watts. Like you could have a good setup if you use 12 volts for a lot of things in your home. But if you want to keep your, let's say, your electric stove, you need 48 volts right away to get 220.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Bella here is asking what larger products you use in your house or your kitchen, like a food saver, a dehydrator,
What he doesn't use.
or what you don't
use anymore.
Yeah, because a dehydrator would use a lot of power, would it not?
Depends whatever you got.
Oh, okay.
Ours
It's
is
solid.
150 watts.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I was like, it's out on the counter. I can go check.
Yeah, it's 150 watts.
Yeah, the equation, right? The equation. There's an equation to know how much wattage you need. It's the amp versus the volts multiplied by volts. So if you have something that use 5, 5 is easy number. So if you go by 5 amp on your electric stuff, you multiply by 110, right? So it will give you about 550 watt that you're gonna use every minute that or every hour. Sorry, you're gonna use it. So
is there anything? I think maybe she's asking: is there anything that you avoid using because it's like uses such great wattage?
Well, we don't use anything on 220. So everything like water heater, stove, we don't use that. We use something else. But example, I use a toaster quite often, to make toast. But we don't have a microwave, and that's by choice. Microwave take about 500 watts, but for about 5 minutes, so it's not too bad. Like there's nothing in our system that would be depleted for it. We want to get a dishwasher because we can, like it doesn't take much water and not much electricity either. So stuff like that.
Wow.
The pump, it's 1,000 watts. So example, when the kids and everybody take shower at the same time and the pump is running, like that's 1,000 watts for about half an hour. So, like we're in good shape with the batteries, but it's a gouger. So we think about,
Is that counting in your hot water heater as well, or are you on demand with propane?
We have a sort of a regular tank, right? But it's propane heated.
Okay.
Yeah. The house itself had a quick heater before, but it was all calcified and everything. So we sort of dealt hot water tank when we bought the house.
So Tracy says here he uses a small dehydrator for drying herbs and jerky. I try to do it when it's sunny, or I can run the generator, which
Yes.
Makes
Sorry,
sense.
that was the question that I did answer. We used to have one, and we were sort of scared of using it, so we got rid of it. But during the summer, with the new system we have, it's pretty much always good, So you could have one that used 500 watts that you use for a day, and you would be fine. But it will be, demanding on the system. But you don't use anything else during the summer, right? You don't use any heating. You don't use even lights. So you can use we were scared the first year, and then the second year we got one of those dehumidifier. I don't know how to say it. That remove humidity.
Dehumidifier.
There you go. Thank you. That's a hard word for a Frenchman.
Yeah. All good.
And so we were scared, and basically at one point we were like, and that's pretty much always the case. You got the courage, and it's like, let's get this, And so during the summer we put that in the basement, and it's so nice. But we were scared. Now we are not. We can take that. We can take a lot actually. So
I'm surprised she hasn't suckered you into a what is the new thing your parents got there? Air fryer.
Yeah, no, we haven't got that. A little bit old school. But yeah, we should try that. It's actually, it doesn't take much for long. That's the thing. I think my mom had
I don't
one
know.
of
I
those.
looked at them. They were close to what the stove was running because I thought it would be a lot less. And
Okay,
it was
so that's
pretty
a bit
close.
more.
Yeah.
The air fryer.
Yeah.
But
So-
they're 110 volt.
They
They
are.
are 110.
But it's
yeah.
still what it was using in
The
watts.
wattage is what is important.
Yeah, I think it was the watts was still close.
So when our power goes out, we'll sometimes use the air fryer, and it's about 15 to 1800.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I think it's
Really
18.
low.
Yeah,
Give or
okay, that's what I
take,
thought.
So I'll unplug the fridge just in case, the freezer just in case, because
No
we
kidding.
only have like a 4,000 watt generator, which is I think closer to a 3,400 running. I think it
Yeah.
I think if I had that, I would not use that for
Yeah.
to answer that. The question earlier. It's definitely a lot of power.
Well,
Okay.
because I was literally looking at getting rid of our stove because the stove works, but the top doesn't right now.
We talked about that.
Yeah, and I was gonna replace it with the air fryer, and then just a little panel. But the air fryers are just as much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not the
Not the top. The top is fine.
no, not the inverter plate that we want.
No, not the plate. It's literally the fry, like the oven part was going to be my air fryer. So
Yeah. like a toaster takes about just a regular two slot, toaster. It's 1,000 watt for sure.
So,
Air dryer. T-Hand talked about that.
I
Those
wouldn't
are
want to know what
big
my
suckers.
breaker is.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
live without my hair dryer.
Well, Kay, yeah. Kay had those, hair flattener,
Yeah, straightener.
and
that is such a. I don't know if that's the French or the man.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's the man.
Hair dryer, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, but she had trouble with that, so she purchased everything we purchase nowadays is battery powered because the battery don't take much
Yes, you
power
can
to
get them
True.
cordless. Yeah.
to get on, like our what's called the vacuum. It's all power, but when you try to purchase stuff, it's never listed as, oh, this takes this much wattage. Never ever. And I got my lovely Kay here. She's a digger on the internet. She got our fridge. That was our first sort of guess that the solar powerhouse could do something because it was propane before we got here, and she was like, I don't want propane fridge, like it wasn't proper, like it was there's no exhaust that went outside or anything,
Wow.
So she was like, she went on and she looked and looked and looked and she found one. It's a Samsung, just regular, like small freezer and big door at the bottom. But it's like you don't feel nothing ever. You don't see the wattage going down. It takes about 200 watts every 6 hours or something like that. It's very, very efficient. And that's the struggle we had, is to find stuff that is very low power, like Dell Light was easy, but at the same time you could have thousands of them, different kind of lights, and which one you take, I don't know, but we ended up pretty good. Just
I
frosted
guess you
lights.
would really have to be more cognizant of what you're buying in that wise,
Yeah, it's everybody should do that in their home, if you ask me, because they would save a lot of money. 100 watt versus 8 watt that provides the same amount of
Wow.
clarity. It's crazy.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but it's just for us it's a matter of consumption. So whatever we take, we try to harvest, but yet we can wash ourselves every day, no problem. But we would have made the house different. We would have built the house differently if we would have built it now that we know everything.
Mhm.
But it's very nice every day. But I don't stop myself for using anything.
Yeah, that's
it's
good.
truly not. But we're conscious of what we need, though. Like the hydrator, K found one that takes about 120 watt, but it's mostly during the summer that we use it.
Yeah.
For the winter, in our case anyway. So it's perfect. It's like, okay, we're going to do that by the end of the summer. It's still very good lighting. our batteries are packed and everything. So you have to think about the consumption all the time. But
Mhm.
the better the system you have, as per living off grid, as per regular fashion, it's you still need to think about how much you take versus how
Yeah.
much you get in.
Mhm.
So I guess like most of the time when you talk to people that are wanting to go off grid, they're constantly asking like, is it worth it? Do you save money? Now I know like you come from the thought of you want to become more independent, and I think that's kind of where we're coming from too. Not so much looking at are you saving money from being on hydro, but more of being independent in your living. But for someone who was looking at the cost aspect of it, would you say that it's comparable, cheaper or more expensive than hydro?
I can only talk for us,
Mhm.
about us and stuff. But for us right now, it's fairly even. It was not when we first got the house.
Okay.
It was triple of what, like a regular house. Maybe it's $2,000, $3,000 a year. I don't know about you guys. It's about that around here. So the first year cost us about $6,000 to eat a house, and it wasn't nice, like I was saying earlier. So we cut that in half, and that included wood and propane and everything, gasoline or everything we need to maintain the house. We believe we can cut that easy by a quarter by next year. So that's our goal. And if we do because we work full time, if we do our wood, we would go down to more $1,000. So I think the only propane we would use is the only thing we would spend money on if we were doing our wood,
Mhm.
like all the wood by ourselves, which we don't right now. We just have fun um, when we can. So other than that, that's it could be very cheap, but
Okay.
you still need to spend a bit of money, like
Yeah,
buying stuff like a splitter, wood splitter and stuff.
we have the equipment for the wood, and that's the biggest one, is getting the equipment. Once you have the equipment, it's not bad. Excuse me,
Yeah.
but you have the costs associated too. Like, our wood cost us probably $250 in fuel last year, and that's, we have a tractor to pull the logs out of the bush, and then the wood splitter, and then the fuel in that, and the fuel in the chainsaw. So it's $250, but it heats my house all winter. So
Yeah.
you can cut it down, but then you add time in too. So, but I think, for you guys, if you have the time, you definitely can. Like, I think $250 in fuel will go a long way for cutting firewood. Like, we have the property, and I mean, we just cut deadfall, and we can't even keep up to it, all of it.
Wow.
That's exactly it. And right now we sort of decide not to because we work and
Yeah.
we sort of
Mhm.
have good work. So
Yeah.
it's but when we, like next year we were like, hey, what about if we take, maybe a couple of weeks vacation during that time and do all that, because you fail them during the winter and stuff, and you do it afterwards. So we're like, I would love to do that because it wouldn't take long, and because they're all right there. Just need to
Yeah.
lug it and split it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fairly easy to.
Yeah. It doesn't take too long. I think it's getting the right weather and temperature. Like for us, I wanted to go this week, but we got too much snow to get around.
Yeah.
So now I need a little bit more warm weather, and then you get in the bush a little easier. And maybe like 10, 20 trees is all it takes of deadfall and that, and that's my wood. And
Yep.
when Jenny helps, when I can sucker her to run the wood splitter for me, then with two people working on it, we're
Mhm.
done in a couple of days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's there's one thing here, like the solar thing was nice and everything, but I don't have any building. That's something that bugs me. Like I need to build everything, so that's expensive in a sense. So I have to be careful where and what I do. But
Yeah.
it's challenging on that aspect. But yeah, wood wise, it's everything in December. If I can get everything out of the forest in December, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Hmm.
And then I split it in whenever. It's
Yeah.
I can even not even take time, just a day here, a day there. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the thing. And the last thing we want to get rid of is everything propane. But unless we make our own natural gas, it's something we're gonna have to rely on and
That's it.
dependent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking back at our billing for the other house just to see if there was a time where you can kind of get it when it's a little bit cheaper. So I was looking at the comparison of buying it in the summer versus buying it, just before winter. Like a lot of companies will come up and
Yes.
top you up on purpose before
Yes.
winter when it's most expensive, right? But it really wasn't that much savings. I was
Not-
quite surprised.
Not in the
Wow.
last 3 years, but we used to.
That's
I
right.
used to call them, get my tanks filled in the summer, and I would save 10 to 15 cents a liter on propane.
It
or
wasn't that
metric
much
or
now.
cubic meter or whatever. But now there's not much of a difference the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went up. It went
Mhm.
up here, and but we sort of went down in our consumption, so it was great. Like it was a great deal, but now we're not too bad. Like, but it still would be about 15 for a full year.
Yeah.
Maybe 1,000 for propane. So
Yeah.
I think with the in-floor heating, we're closer to.
Oh no, you don't. That house is not comparable, Jenny. Like our house that she's talking about is a very large home, and it's a newer build, but like it's $700 or $800 a month just in propane to heat that place. But it's a massive,
It's a 4-bedroom.
4-bedroom and big sunroom, the whole 9 yards. But so it's a different story than what you'd be talking about in.
But I'd love to
our little-
convert that.
Yeah.
Our little house here, like a couple sticks of firewood and it cooks you right out because it's like
Mhm.
1,300 square feet if we're lucky here. So it's all in relative to what you have in size of home. But that house, for the size of it, is efficient on propane for what it is. But
yeah,
It does cost a lot.
yeah,
it's something to me, it's a dependency. Like you
That's it.
cannot be self-reliant. That's what bugs me.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's they talk about they're talking about like natural gas and stuff. Like they're gonna get that here, and every municipality will have their own, and stuff like that. But I don't see that happening for a
No.
long time. So
they've been talking about it here in Ontario. And there's natural gas pipelines going all over. But every time they try and go and build a new one, there's all kinds of opposition and problems, and it's not there. But I mean, natural gas is not a whole lot cheaper than what propane is this year for friends of ours that have it down
Okay.
where they live. So
that's good to know.
yeah, but I think for us, like I got to build a bit of a shop this year, and I know that they frown upon you doing it now, but I do some work on my own tractors and vehicles, and I'm going to put a waste oil burner in it just to keep the heating costs down. And my shop's going to be off grid because I only need lighting. And when I need to run the welder or whatever, I'll have to fire my generator up. But I'm not hooking it to hydro because there's no point in paying an $80 service charge. Whether you turn anything on or not, it's $80 here in Ontario minimum for your service charge,
Ooh.
delivery charge.
Yeah. See, that's a good, that's a really good thing to do, because you could install a system with one charge controller with 4 solar panel of 300 watt.
Yep.
So that would be 300 watts by 4, so that would be $1,000.
Yep.
So let's say $2,000 plus the battery, and you could have like 110 volt system in your workshop to charge your batteries from your tools and everything. And there's like if you buy the battery, you could have a welder as well on 110.
Yeah, I do have I have a 110 welder for that reason. I bought it as it's an easy weld 110. It works off pretty low voltage, and you could run it pretty well on a single car battery for like the amount of welding I need to do. It's not difficult. So
okay.
But, that would be the setup goals, was building my tools kits for that. I got rid of all my compressed air stuff, and I went to battery powered Ryobi setups. And they're extremely efficient on batteries, and they're quieter and easier to use and maintain. So that's all I'm going to need is basically one plug to charge my Ryobi batteries. That's my lights and my lighting setups, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only concern on it is like the rodents. when it comes to like wiring and everything. So I don't know if it's the same risk factor.
It's the same wiring. There's no difference. So it's.
But does it?
I find the newer wiring, like say like headphones and stuff, are made in like vegetable or meat, whatever it is.
Oils.
So our cat, anyways, he's chewed about 3 or 4 of our headsets that we've gotten for Hannah and for ourselves, and he's also chewed out a few other things.
Yeah.
But
not the older stuff.
Not
it's
the older
the
stuff.
newer, like
It's just
vegetable. I don't know.
vegetable-based wires or something.
That's
The coating
neat.
itself.
I don't know what they're made of, but they're what's called PV5, MS5, MC5 cables and stuff. Sorry, I'm sort of mixing my stuff here, but yeah, I guess they're regular cables, but they're not like they're going into the walls and stuff as well. So I guess it could be danger of rodents and stuff going through there.
Well, we're going to be by doing such a minimal setup instead of a traditional wiring, and the traditional wiring setup, like the solar and off-grid setups, you can really minimize and just keep what you need, so you can see only what you have to have there, and you can keep a good eye on it to make sure that the rodents aren't eating it. And that's what it's going to eliminate a lot more concern for me anyway.
Yeah,
especially in a shop, right, for the barn.
Yeah. I'm thinking of it. They go inside maybe 5 feet, and then they go outside into a pole, like a regular pole for electricity. But then they're going into other sort of tubes behind the solar panel.
Yeah. But
behind the panel, they could go. But that's something that never happened. I got a tree that fell on one of my panels.
Oh no!
The day after we installed them.
No.
Yeah, we cleared the west sort of side, and we had 3 spruce tree left. They're hemlock trees actually, and so we'll do them tomorrow. And, there's one that fell. Just the tip fell on the panel. Like it's still there. It's just taking less, maybe 100 watt less than it's supposed to.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
But,
have you had any issues with lightning?
Yeah.
No, it's all grounded. You need to ground your stuff 100%, especially on the roof. We have the solar panel that are just a tiny bit higher than the roof, which is not supposed to. And that's something you guys, well, not you guys, but anybody who wants to go off grid, you need to know if the municipality lets you be off grid. That's the main thing, if you're thinking about having an off grid home. And so here they have a bylaw that says your solar panel cannot exceed the height of the roof. So right now I think I got a foot over. It was like that, so I just left it like that. But that's something that, and nobody sees it either, so that might be something they worry about. But yeah, bylaws and stuff like that. Make sure you're aware where you're going if you want to be off grid, because sometimes you cannot, and you have to be hooked up on the electricity, and that's a bummer when it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Definitely need to research before buying land or even houses. Even like having animals, chicken, cattle, like you need to know what is allowed in your area too, right? So
yeah, temporary shelter, versus some people live in a cabin. They're like, I don't know, their cabin is nicer than my home, but they got evicted from their place because it was like a mini home, those.
They don't allow mini homes here, do they?
No. There's a few that are still around, but they're not allowed. Here's the square footage requirement. So I think it's 950 square feet is our minimum requirements.
Oh, wow.
Same here. I think it's about 8 or something like that.
Now the Ontario government's made changes to that now with Second Dwelling Act. There's a new law that's gone in that's going to allow people to build smaller because they realize that families aren't 6 or 7 people anymore for the most part. Families are 3, 4 at the most, and there's a crisis with long-term care. So the government's brought in some new regulations that allow you to build a second dwelling on your property.
Very nice.
And it supersedes whatever the municipality says. And it actually, I think, is 800 square feet. So don't quote me on it. I haven't gone through the new bill yet, but it's going to change Ontario big time.
Wow.
It's going to make a big difference for us, so that our succession plan will be now, when we leave this farm, or we're old, or I've lost enough money farming and decide to retire from farming, and we pass this to Gracelyn, our daughter, I can build off grid up on a piece of my property that's just a small spot for Jenny and me. And that would be it's a game changer for us
without having to be attached as a granny suite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just up the road.
Oh yeah, or that's it. Here we would be able to have a mini home, but it would be on wheel, because you need to move it.
Yeah.
Like you need to be able to move it. Other than that, it's a permanent home, like no concrete foundation or anything.
Yeah.
But Rem's saying you should be allowed to live in the house you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
True that, but
Welcome to Canada, where you can't.
Yeah, that's not off grid talk here.
That's it. Now he's into it.
Yeah. No, of course you need to be a little bit, prepper, doomer a bit to live off grid. When you think about it, but there's a fine line between going insane and just living the dream.
Yeah.
So we decided to keep it tight. Make sure that we are self-reliant the most we can. But last year we would have died in January of scabies or something like that. Because of no veggies.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to do all that and be very efficient. And stuff like that. So, but one thing for sure is with the solar part, we're good. So we're ready to tackle anything else. But same as you, we go around and think about how we're gonna light up our coops, and do this with the this and that. It's just different thinking, because it's not limitless. You need to think about power and stuff. But whatever we do, it doesn't require anything like the house has, so it's cheaper.
That's it.
Yeah.
For us too, it's like that's it. Changing the mindset, I guess. And you guys are the same. Like my mindset changes on when we build stuff and how we think about doing things. And it's all about, instead of doing it the traditional way where you build this big setup, you put the power in, electricity, and then you don't think about those costs, because now the hydro has gone up so high that, and you can see the trend, it's still continuing. So you get to the point where you need to start worrying about that. And maybe that's not a great thing to do, but knowing setups like yours are out there, or seeing them on YouTube and getting acquainted to that, so that you can move, because at some point we're all going to hit that point in the hydro bill where, for me, like if I hit $300 a month, like consistently, we're done. No more hydro. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, everybody's got their number, right?
That's right.
We're getting closer to ours. I don't know about you guys, but
It's definitely changed in the last year. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed.
When we first moved up here, $100 bill would be $50 in delivery.
Yeah.
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 I don't know what it is
It's
now,
definitely
'cause
gone
Kendra takes
up.
care of the bill.
I think our delivery is almost $70.
Our delivery is $77 here, just for delivery. And the highest bill month we had was like $250 or whatever. Now we run like a lot of freezers and whatnot, but the freezers, I did the equations and stuff. They're not that bad, because they only kick on once in a while. But the thing is that we're learning to manage so that we can go that route, because when it hits 300, that's kind of my number. I'm going to be like, no, that's it. I'm not doing $300 a month. I can make my own power cheaper than that.
I think that's
Depends what you got.
the place to
That's
start,
it.
right? Like, I mean, when I started gardening, like, I don't know if it was 2008, 2009, I wasn't even doing my own seeds. I was just planting a plant, going by a plant and put it in the ground. I would only have like 3 tomato plants and a couple cucumbers, just for like something fresh to eat. But I never had this thought that I was going to be like canning all this food and putting it away. But as you kind of pick up on these little changes, like, you go further and your mind changes on the
100%.
possibilities of what you can do. And that you like, wow, I really don't need to go and buy this and buy that and spend that. And that's where I think like people are getting to this realization that, nothing's impossible. Because I mean, how many times, like, I don't know, when we first, I know they've had a similar situation, talking to my parents about moving to the country. They thought we were crazy. You know, they didn't think we could do it because you don't live in a country, you don't have any experience. So there's that mindset of like maybe that generation that you
It's a
couldn't do it because
mindset
you
of
never did it.
everything.
You know,
Yeah.
and now there's these young people, or you know, I'm going to call myself young, but but like there's this generation that are like, you know what, we can do this, and you
Yeah.
know what, just because I never did it doesn't mean I can't. And so, and I
No.
think that people are going into this off-grid thing. People are like, you know what, anything is possible as long as you try. And so,
As
yeah,
long as you know what's good for you. But there's
yeah,
one thing is a consumption, you know, like that's the only thing like you and I and everybody will have together.
yeah,
There's beautiful homes like Earthship Home that require like crazy build, but you know, it's very efficient, you know, and stuff like that. Solar passive home, like those solar passive greenhouse, you know, but
hmm,
as a home. And you know, there's many ways that solar is just a little tip of energy you need or could use for your home, but we're not into that mindset whatsoever. And you're totally right, it's a mindset. Here, you know, I started to do like axe handle, you know, with draw knives and stuff like that, you know, just because I was like crazy, like I'm living off grid. But then I was like, oh, I can't have like power tools, you know. And but I still love doing it, you know. But it's true that, you know, like a drill is so handy, you know, like don't use a hammer and a nail if you can drill something, you know.
yeah,
So you have to be like, my motto is to be off-grid savvy, you know, like I want to be off-grid, but I want to be savvy at the same time with everything I do that I consume. Like we, you know, I got computers, we work on computers, I got phones, you know, like stuff that I need power for.
mhm,
And we actually, maybe 6 months ago, we got the internet, like hardwired internet,
wow,
before it was on our phone, for the first 2 years.
wow,
And so we're wondering, oh, can the router handle everything, you know?
hmm.
And so, but it was not even a dent anywhere in the system. So
Well,
that was
just
good.
like look at the change over the last, like, I don't know, 5-10 years. Like people would think like off-grid living was for like, you know, hicks and weirdos, or you know,
Grizzly Adams,
I'm
you know?
like, I
Hippies.
homeschool my daughter, and there's this same stigmatism that you got to be, you know, your kid's weird and unsocialized, and that's not the case anymore.
No, she's
But
just weird.
anyway,
She's like her dad, you know?
but like now, like things have changed, right? Like off-grid living isn't that same, it doesn't have that same stigmatism as it used to, right? So it's just interesting to see like where the world has come in the past 10 years.
Yeah. I don't get judged by how I live, but people definitely wonder what you know, what's going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They, you know, like people at work,
Well,
you know, they gave up a long time ago. But anybody would think the same thing because I raise chickens and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So solar is just one thing. I used to be kind of like excited to talk about it, but then I was like, well, you know, upgrade is the new cool. Yeah, as long as it works.
Yeah,
But yeah, Mike know what I'm saying here. But you know, like basically, it's the same. You know, like it's just a different mindset. But it's when I'm gonna water my garden. You know, like what I'm gonna do with my drip system. The same as you. You know,
Yeah.
everybody will do this. It's just different way of getting my power.
Okay. So like, I guess, I mean, I think, you know, we've really appreciated you talking and giving us all this information, because I know we're kind of wanting to, you know,
Tiptoe into
to
it.
learn. We're, you know, so I think everybody that's on here tonight, or a lot of people that will watch this in the future views, will be interested in knowing everything that you shared with us. But what is like something that you would recommend for people that are wanting to transition into this lifestyle? Like different advice maybe that you could give us, or you know, them that may be searching for this off-grid lifestyle?
Yeah, if you want to be cool, start a rock band. Don't go off grid. But definitely be curious about it. You know, like that's the first step. You know, that's something I would have done or should have done is start small, like the dog house or the shed or anything you can have at home. Like nobody will complain if you put a solar panel in your shed in the back and get everything you need in there to power your tools, or like will cost you almost nothing. So start small, learn, and be curious, because go on YouTube. There's thousands of places you can go, and just look for solar thing. Whatever, you'll find something. But mostly get to know the big picture before you do anything. Because you can always like go around and break stuff and make stuff happen, but how can it be nice and like long-term efficient? So I would say learning is the best. And if you're mechanically inclined about doing stuff, that's a plus for you. Like I learn and I'm fine these days, but like when I started, I didn't know how battery worked. I knew negative and positive, but that's it. So learning is definitely what I would suggest to everybody. And once you got that down the road, just experiment stuff. Like just put a panel outside during the summer and with a battery and something, and just put 2 wires together and see what's up. Don't do that. Don't do that. But,
Caveman style.
yeah, you want to get fire. But yeah, the photovoltaic stuff, you won't get shot. You'll literally get a blue flame. If you put wires together and stuff, it will burn. So it's very powerful.
Yeah, that's me welding and just lighting myself on fire. I'm pretty good at that, welding.
There you go. You got to step above me. Yeah. But definitely it's dangerous. So if you want to do it yourself, like you have to remember that don't plug stuff. Like there's stuff you need to learn in order to make sure you don't mess things up too bad, because it's dangerous. If you do that in your house, are you insured for it? Stuff like that is very important, because here it was solid, but the electrician needs to check out the panel, like every house and stuff like that. So yeah.
Is there any like recommendations or favorite YouTubes that you would watch, or people like somewhere for us to go to learn more if you wanted to learn more about batteries? Like what would you recommend?
There's one guy I'm thinking about. It's Will Prowse. He's great. Yeah, I don't have the link or anything. Maybe I can send it to you. You can link in the description there. Sure. But he's crazy. He's crazy out there. He's experimenting on anything. He's living in the States. But he tests everything you can imagine. Like I went to him, well, not to him personally or anything, but went to his channel and learned everything. That's one I remember. But yeah, he tests everything. So if you want to learn anything, but it might be overwhelming. So go online and look for solar panel system, solar panel hookup or stuff like that. You'll find RVs, you'll find everything, and I can see his eyes is going bigger. And say, oh yeah, I know all that already. But that's it, learn all the because it's always the same, like the system itself is always the same. You got your panel, you got your fuse, you got your shut off switch, you got your charge controller, you got your batteries, you got inverter, you got your electric panels. So whatever you do in your RV or anything like that, it's just going to be different, like a shore you plug on the wall, instead of having solar panel. Or if you have a solar panel, it's just not having a generator, So it's all the same all the time, but get acquainted with the technology, terminology and stuff. That's what I would do.
All right.
And I guess learn how to use a multimeter, right?
True. I did learn how to do that when I moved here, when we did redo the whole thing. But it's all when everything works, it's not something you use, Yeah. It's but when you want to know if you got voltage or how much voltage, because right now I got everything on my phone, so I see everything on my phone.
Okay. Wow.
So I don't use it anymore. But before I didn't have it, so I basically go around the wire, with the clamping, and I was getting to know how much watts voltage I had and stuff like that. But that's like to me, it's just it's not good, it's not efficient, it's not proper to what like a solar home should be. But it's definitely not exclusivity. Like you can do it, no problem. That's the difference.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I like the setup that you got. Definitely answered some of the questions that I had, making me feel a little more confident about putting that shop off grid and adding some lights to our barn. I think I'm looking forward to trying it this summer. I don't know about you guys, but
we definitely want to, definitely want my water off grid. I'm like, that's one thing when our power goes out for a week or so, we really miss having the water.
That switch so that
do you have a well?
We don't have to rely.
Yeah, like we have a dug well.
Yeah.
And like it'd just be nice to have water to drink and flush the toilet instead of melting snow and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, you can.
10 was it 10 inches of snow makes about equivalent to 1 inch.
We have it down to the numbers now.
You don't even want to go pee after.
That's true.
that's it. Yeah.
But truly, a pump, you need to know how much power you need, and you can always hook it up to a different circuit in order to get your generator to work it, and solar panel and batteries to work it. Mm-hmm. So it's different circuits, but differently you can do it. And if it's directly on your well or anything, you can have one of those pumps. But the thing with those pumps is usually they're not strong enough. So if you have a pump with a solar panel directly to it, a lot of time it won't be strong enough to get you the water you need.
Oh, okay.
So you have to be checking that in order to match whatever you need to make the pump to work.
I definitely want to get like one of those hand pumps too.
We have one.
I got one of those.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't have.
We have one in the barnyard. When you got to fill up 150-gallon water trough twice a day.
I could see that.
You can try it if you want.
Well, for my use, I don't think we go without water for a while without power. So.
Yeah. That's something that came with the house, and it's called for the brand that we have here. It's called a Bison pump, and they don't even list the price on their website. So
oh, really?
Yeah. So I was glad it was here, but it's all stainless and just on top of my artesian well,
Yeah.
And but it saved us. That's how we water the chickens. And everything. So
our neighbor put one in 2018 at his spot up there.
Okay.
And it cost him $4,000 for that stainless steel drop down and the pump. But that's 2018. Prices have gone up from then.
Wow.
But that was just the handle.
That's for a drilled well.
That's for the handle itself.
Oh.
That the pump handle and the stainless and the filter set up in it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't even think it included the concrete.
It didn't include the concrete. That's just to give me an idea what he spent on his. Mm-hmm. Yeah, ours has been here for probably 80 years, so it didn't cost us anything. Yeah, it's not very efficient either.
The well literally has stones.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Here it's just ugly. Like that's next summer project. It's just going to construct something around it, so it's something. But it's different. Like during the winter, it's -45. You pump it. There's water that comes out. It's
wow.
I didn't know that such a thing existed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And they don't really break either, right? Like ours has been here a very long time and it still operates. So, yeah.
Craziness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if your solar pump doesn't work, there's that pump.
That's it.
But yeah, it's a matter of how much water you need, because you could have a pump that pump a little bit and have a very low debit of water. That still could work, but you need something powerful usually. That's why it's on 220.
Good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Perfect.
I want to thank you for joining us tonight, Patrick. It's been great getting to know everything, and I think we covered a lot of information. So I hope
you answered all my questions anyway. I appreciate it. I think you answered quite a few questions in the live for guys too, and appreciate
it's just the tip of it though.
Well, when we get a little bit, more involved, maybe we'll need a more advanced course.
I don't. Maybe I can give it, but I don't think so. I'm gonna test it, like Mike said, with my tongue, and see if it works.
All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Thank
we
you,
want to thank
guys.
everyone who has joined us on the live tonight. We appreciate you coming out. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to check out Denby View Ranch. We got Plowman's Backyard here. If you're not subbed yet, sub to us. And also check out Patrick's channel. We'll leave a link in the description below. Go and check him out. And we just want to thank everyone. And we should hopefully be back here next Thursday. But I will let you know, we are getting on into spring fever, so we are going to be cutting back on our lives because,
It's calving season for us and piglets within the
so
next
things
week.
are going to get busy. So we don't have many more of these left. So I want to thank you for joining us, Patrick, so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you, Patrick.
Bye now.
Thanks, everybody.